Hello and welcome, this is Stonewarden, back with another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy XI. Excited about today's episode because we're doing Shattering Stars. We're going to do the monk version first, maybe some others, who knows. But that is the Maat Fight. And if you were around Final Fantasy XI back in the 75 era, when 75 was the maximum level that you could be, the Maat Fight was a big deal. It took you from a leveler to joining the big boys and girls at the end game. So gonna be doing the Maat Fight today on monk. Really fired up about it. Did a little bit of prep leading up to it, so we'll go through the prep items, the things that I'm going to bring to the fight, how we're going to approach it, and we'll see how it goes. So glad you're here, glad to be doing this with you, and let's head out. You know, the Maat Fight is one of those quests that everybody always seemed to have a really fun Maat Fight story. So if you have a Maat Fight story from back in the day or maybe more recently, leave that in the comments. I love reading those. Can't wait to see your experience with the Maat Fight. It really is a fun one. And to flag the quest, you'll come to Rulud Gardens in Juneau and come to the back portion here where Matt is. You have to be level 66 or higher to flag this quest. A lot of folks wait until they get the cap of 70, but it's up to you. And one of the things that you may want to farm before you come is the testimony for your job. I plan on doing the fight today on monk, so I have farmed up a monk's testimony. These drop from Jotun Hallkeepers in Upper Delkfoot's Tower, Orcish Champions in Devoy or Monastic Cavern, Ugudo Flagellants in the Castle Ostrosia, or Shore Sahagin in Sea Serpent Grotto. Depending on what job you want to complete the Maat Fight on, your testimony will drop from different mobs. So be sure to go to BG Wiki or one of the other websites where you can find out exactly where that drops from and farm that up. That should be no problem with trusts. Back in the day, it was a bit of a struggle to get those because the mobs are mid to high 60s to lower 70s in level, so they hit a little bit hard if you don't have trust. But anyway, farm up a testimony. And think about some of the other things you may want to bring to the fight as well. Matt will warp you directly to the battlefield if you say that you're ready. So I suggest having some items together that you may want to use if you're doing a melee fight like I am. An Icarus Wing for an extra weapon skill to start with, and a Vile Elixir or a Vile Elixir +1 for extra hit points or healing. These are going to come in handy. Keep in mind the goal of the fight is to do enough damage to Matt without dying yourself, and he will give up. The only caveat to that is if you are doing the fight on White Mage, the goal will be to stay alive for 5 minutes. He will give up. And if you're doing the fight on Thief, you can also steal a scroll of instant warp from Matt, and again he will give up and the fight will end. So if you're on a melee, bring some items that you can use to heal yourself, and maybe a wing that you can use to start off with a bang. Having met all the prerequisites and done our quest prep and brought the items that we needed to bring, you can speak to Matt, and that will start the quest. Please note that he asked for a monk's testimony, so be careful which job you flag that quest on because that's the one you have to do the fight with. So another thing that I failed to mention before is in preparing for the fight, I capped all of my combat skills, so hand-to-hand, guarding, and evasion are all as high as they can be for level 70, just to give me that much more of an edge once I go into the fight. And once we're ready to go, all we have to do is trade him the monk's testimony that he asked for, watch the cutscene, and he'll ask in the cutscene if we're ready. If we say yes, we'll get warped to the BCNM. And on your first attempt at Shattering Stars on a character, Matt will warp you to the appropriate BCNM. Keep in mind, if you do it on subsequent jobs, you'll need to know which one to be at and get yourself there. You don't get the free warp on subsequent attempts. So if you're going for Matt's cap and you're going to do multiple jobs, just make sure you're at the right BCNM. One of the things that is myth or legend about Matt is that he has the stats that you have when you enter. So a lot of folks used to, back in the day, go in naked, basically take off all of their gear and then put it back on after they were in the BCNM, again, to try to gain a little bit more of an edge. And I don't know if that's true or not. I've always done it, and that's what we're going to do today. So I created a macro equip set to put all my gear back on once I get in. The other thing I'm going to do is macro my elixirs. That way, in case I need it, hit that panic button. I don't have to go through the menu to use the elixirs. They're just right here on the macro bar. Alright, and now that I am completely naked and ready to go, all you have to do to enter is trade the Monk's Testimony to the BCNM, and that'll get us started. There we go, Shattering Stars Monk. You do not have support job abilities or a support job at all once in here, so whatever your support job is does not matter. So I came in, eat food, use a TP wing, make sure my gear's equipped, and I made a mistake. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The fight itself is a 10-minute limit, and he starts going hard at about 5 minutes in. So getting him down quickly is better than going toe-to-toe for a while with him. It's important to go as hard as you can from the start. Fantastic. Done and done. Was a little over prepared for that, as I usually am for quests and fights, but that's okay. And when you've defeated Matt, you get a scroll of instant warp, and then all you have to do to wrap the quest up is go back to Matt, speak to him, get a cutscene, and then your level cap will be 75, which is good stuff. Back again in Rulud Gardens, a quick conversation with Matt completes the quest. Your level limit is now 75. Isn't that wonderful? Just fantastic. Really enjoy that quest, that fight. It does have a big potential to go south, depending on the job you're on and how things shake out. Although that went really smooth. So I do not edit out failures, and so one of the things that we saw in that video is I basically used my TP wing before I equipped my hand-to-hand weapon, and all that really did was cost me a wing and reset my TP back to 0 when I changed from barehanded to a weapon. So pretty much a big mistake there, but fortunately things still went smoothly, and got the win there for the Maat quest. Having completed Shattering Stars on Monk, I wanted to make sure that I back up for just a second and cover the other options that are available to you. There is no requirement that you finish your Limit Break 5 on one of the basic jobs. Like Monk, anything is perfectly fine. And I probably could have done a better job of explaining this at the beginning of the video, but sometimes I just like to do things backwards to make sure you're paying attention. So again, the way Limit Break 5 works, you have to be 66, and then you have to speak to Matt to flag the appropriate Shattering Stars quest. That applies to the 15 jobs that come from the original game and the Rise of the Zillart expansion. So if you plan on taking to 75, first, Warrior, Monk, White Mage, Black Mage, Red Mage, Thief, Paladin, Dark Knight, Beastmaster, Bard, Ranger, Samurai, Ninja, Dragoon, or Summoner, then you will do basically what I just did with Matt on that job. However, if you are on a different job, so any of the jobs that were released after the Rise of the Zillart expansion, so during Treasures of Ottergon, Wings of the Goddess, or Seekers of Aguilin. So if you are on Blue Mage, Corsair, Puppet Master, Dancer, Scholar, Geomancer, or Rune Fencer, you will not do the Maat Fight. You will have a different fight with a character from that that quest line. So just be aware. It works a little bit different on those newer jobs, the jobs that were released a little bit later on. And after the Maat Fight, I began leveling from 70 to 75, and what I remembered is that in your early or lower 70s, something that's very important to do is to unlock the weapon skill for your chosen weapon. And depending on the job that you're on, it may be multiple weapon skills, especially if you're something like Warrior that has multiple options. You know, for Monk we're focusing on hand-to-hand, but could technically also use staff, I guess. But anyway, so there are questable weapon skills for these different weapon types. So given that fact, I think what we'll do to flesh these guides out a little bit further is to do the Shattering Stars Monk Fight for a job, and then any appropriate weapon skill quests. Of course, I'll edit out a bunch of the meat for the quests, because the way these work is, first and foremost, you want to make sure that your job is 71 and your skill is 250 or higher. So our hand-to-hand is capped at 266 on level 73. And what we're going to do, this is a quest called The Walls of Your Mind. And again, this is for Asuran Fists. You come in, speak to Oubliette. Speaking to Oubliette gets you a short cutscene, plus an item, Knuckles of Trials, and a key item, the Weapon Training Guide. Important to note, you cannot have more than one of these weapon skill quests going at one time, so make sure you're going to complete it before you flag it and accept it. So going around randomly talking to NPCs, particularly at this stage of the game, is not a good thing, because you will end up flagging some quests that may prevent you from doing something that you really want to do. But right now, this is what we want to do. So let's check out the Knuckles of Trials. And if you'll notice, at the time they were released, they were actually pretty good weapons, and a lot of people kind of hung on to them for a while. But what you'll notice with the Knuckles of Trials is there's a latent effect, and that latent effect is HP 20, stone and water protection plus 10. And so when we equip the Knuckles of Trials, what you'll notice is that in our equipment at the bottom, you'll see all of our elemental resistances. The stone plus 10 is there, as well as the water plus, well, I've got water plus 25, so I must have it. Yeah, it's on something else, plus 15 there. So what I will do is watch that stone plus 10, because the goal of this quest at this point is we have to go out and accumulate on this weapon what we call weapon skill points. So the goal is going to be to accumulate 300 points using the Knuckles of Trials, and the way you do that is by weapon skills, and you get 1 point for using a weapon skill or opening a skill chain. Okay, if you close a level 1 skill chain, you get 2 points. Closing a level 2 skill chain is worth 3 points, and closing a level 3 skill chain is worth 5 points. So the quickest and easiest way to break the latent off of these weapons is to find a friend that will open a level 3 skill chain for you consistently. Go out and rock out about 60 of those, and that'll get you the 300 points. If you're doing this by yourself, a lot of the trusts will wait for you to weapon skill before they use your TP, and so it can be a little bit frustrating to try to close off of them. If you want to try Tenzin, and or if you have Shantoto 2, those are pretty good about using their TP, and then maybe you can close off of them, but it may just look like doing a bunch of weapon skills, and so that's one of the reasons why I like to grab these, because you can do that and level at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll go out, I'll do 300 weapon skills as I level to 75, and then we'll be back with the rest of the quest. I have been working diligently to get the latent off of the Knuckles of Trials so that we can continue on with the quest. My guess is that I'm about at 100 points, so maybe a third of the way there to the 300. You don't really know, there's no way to check, so you just kind of, my advice is to just go out, have fun hitting stuff, and eventually it will fall off and you can complete the quest. But I wanted to take a quick break from the weapon skill trials to explain something else, mainly because I got to 75 and capped my experience within 75. And if you'll recall what I was telling you earlier, 75 for a long time was the highest level that you could attain in the game. So from about 2003 to 2010, the level cap was 75 in the game, and all the content was built around being level 75. One of the things that were added during that time is a program called merit points, and when you reach 75, if you'll come over here and talk to this Nomad Moogle next to Matt, you'll unlock the ability to start accruing merit points. And talking with the Moogle gets you the key item Limit Breaker, and what this does is unlocks merit points. So if you go to your menu to status, there is a merit point section, and there's a lot to talk about here. I'm not going to go into complete depth, but the main thing to understand at this stage of the game, if you're playing along, is that once you are 75, so if you're on a job that is 75 or higher, you can switch modes between gaining experience points or limit points. Now, limit points goes towards your merit points. So limit points are the same thing as experience points. They just go into a different bucket, into a different place. So what you'll notice is that I have 1,098 out of 10,000 limit points and 0 out of 30 merit points. So what happens is when you get to 10,000 limit points, then you'll get a merit point. And then once you get those merit points, you can go into your Mog House, talk to the Moogle, and apply those points to get certain bonuses for your character. And some of the bonuses, like the ones that you see here, HP, MP, attributes, combat, magic skills, others, weapon skills. These apply across all jobs. And then you have a whole bunch of job-specific merit points. So, for example, you can come in and apply 1 merit point to adjust your maximum HP by 10 points. You can come in and apply a merit point to adjust the maximum number of merit points by 1 point. So what you'll notice there in the bottom left is that it says combo total max. That means between these 3 categories you can apply 75 merit points. And so I'll probably do a guide on merit points. It used to be a huge deal, and still gives you nice bonuses to your character, although in today's game with the 99 cap, job points are much more impactful than merit points, but nonetheless it's still important to maximize these. And the reason I say it's important to do this now is because for the time being, if I'm tooling around on 75, all those experience points are going to waste. But if I've unlocked merit points, then they will be going towards some of these other categories. So this is good stuff. So attributes, you can buff your different attributes based on which jobs you like to play. You can give bonuses to your combat skills, and then you can even unlock special merit point only weapon skills. So a lot of good stuff here in merit points. Again, it merits a larger conversation. But I just wanted to make sure that since we're all in this 70 to 75 range, that you come here, talk to the Nomad Moogle, and unlock merit points so that we can start getting those points in there while we're working on the Latent, especially now that experience points are so easy to come by. So wanted to cover that with you. I'm going to head back out and continue to do more weapon skills so that we can finish this quest. And I've been trying to do my weapon skill points here in this corner of the Boyata tree. I put Tenzin in the party. As I mentioned before, he's one of those trusts that will use his TP when he has it before you, and that gives you an opportunity to try to close a skill chain from time to time. So the way that works is you wait for him to weapon skill, and then you try to close. Skill chains are extremely complex, and there's a lot of research that goes into that. I'll try Raging Fists here to see if it works. And got an impaction, and that was completely by surprise. Part of the problem with Tenzin is that he uses weapon skills that look like regular samurai weapon skills, but have different names. So it's hard to really know what's going on. There's a lot of guesswork involved. I probably could do some more research on it and just have not spent the time. Part of the problem is also that Tenzin will close skill chains off of the other trusts, and sometimes will use weapon skills before you have your TP ready. So most of the time what I end up doing is just getting to 1,000 TP and using a weapon skill, and so you get 1 point for that, for the 300. And again, if an opportunity to close a skill chain does present itself, do that too, get a couple extra points off that. But this is basically how I've been doing it. Another cool reason to use this corner of the Boyata tree is that there is a Grounds of Valor page. It is page 4 for the Boyata tree, and 4 Korrigans and 2 Elder Gubus will get you, an extra 2,000 to 3,000 experience or limit points per page. So since we're also working on merit points, thought that would be a nice way to work on 2 things at the same time. So weapon skill points and some merit points as well. So just spending some time here doing those weapon skills, working on those points, checking those latent bonuses to make sure that they are still on, and just having a good time. Korgans are here everywhere, and they'll team up on you, so you got to be careful. At level 75, the mobs here are decent challenge to tough. So nothing crazy difficult, nothing crazy hard. With a party of trusts, it's no big deal at all. Just have to pay attention and rock out those weapon skill points. Alright, this is very exciting. After a little bit of work there, what you'll notice is when you go to put on the Weapon of Trials, in this case using the Knuckles of Trials, the latent elemental resistance bonuses are no longer being applied. And so what that means is that I've accrued enough weapon skill points on this weapon to proceed with the quest. So that's very exciting stuff. And in the process have accrued, let's see, 23 merit points. So that's 230,000 limit points. So that's fun stuff. So let's pop into the Mog House just to see what we can spend those on, and then we will continue with the hand-to-hand weapon skill quest. And I don't want to insert here a full-blown comprehensive review of merit points and all the options inside of that system. It's a robust enough system that it probably requires its own video to go through all of the options for all of the jobs. But since we have a few and we're at this stage of the game, I thought I would just show you how to get in, poke around, and explore the merit points. So inside of your Mog House, you have to be inside of your Mog House to spend any points. You come down in the menu to the merit point section. Mode switch allows you to switch between the experience and limit points accrual. I leave it on experience just because if you are capped for your level, it will automatically give you limit points. If you select limit points, you will not earn experience. Even if you can, you will only earn limit points. So I usually leave it on experience just because I stay capped anyway. And under categories, this is where we can actually spend some of our points. One of the first things that I recommend is maximum merit points. Currently, I can only hold 30 merit points at a time. After that, the limit points are lost and wasted. So increasing maximum merit points up to a max of 75 will allow me to carry more merit points. And that way, if I do get into a longer engagement, I don't have to worry about losing those merit points. Attributes are obvious. Combat skills, pretty obvious. You have to be on a job that has a combat skill to be able to add merit to it. So for example, Monk does not have polearm skills, so I cannot increase that here. There are some others. And then there are special merit weapon skills that you can use. And then there are other more job specific categories. So under Monk, there are two groups, group 1, group 2. And you can shorten the recast time of the focus ability, shorten the recast time of the dodge ability, and shorten the recast time of the chakra ability. You can also increase the rate at which you counter and increase the rate at which you kick attack. So you can put 10 ability increases into group 1, split them however you want among those 5. And then in group 2, we get a new ability called Mantra, and that increases the max hit points of party members within your area of effect with a 10-minute recast. And more increases in merits, more points added to Mantra will increase the effect by 4%. This is a really neat ability. Basically, just boost the HP of everybody around you. So if there's a big attack that's incoming and everybody around you needs a bunch of HP to survive it, you can hit Mantra, the healer can top you off, and everybody's good to go. Formless Strikes is a really neat monk ability where your attacks are not considered physical damage. Doesn't change anything about weapon skills, but your regular attacks do not have a physical damage property. This is huge if you're fighting something that takes a lot of magic damage, like your elementals, or if you have something that has a really high physical damage resistance. There are even some mobs that will put up a physical damage shield where physical damage does not hurt them. So popping formless strikes will allow you to just tear right through those. Invigorate adds a regen effect to chakra, and then penance adds an effect to the chi blast ability that inhibits an enemy's TP accumulation. So some neat fun stuff to add here into your job specific categories, and each job has their own specific groups with merits to choose from within. So what I'm going to do is raise the maximum merit points. As I said, I think that's the best way to start off. Alright, and that's a quick look at merit points. So do a little bit more research. There's some guides that will explain what the best mix for your chosen job is going to be. And yeah, there's some good stuff. There's a lot of potential here to make your character stronger. So take advantage of those merit points once they're available to you. What we'll do next is take the Knuckles of Trials back to Oubliette so that we can proceed with our weapon skill quest. And back in Bostaunieux, Port Bostaunieux, to be more specific, at the Steaming Sheep, we'll go in and talk to Oubliette. Trade him these knuckles to prove that we have done all this work on these weapon skills. He gives us a key item mapped to the Annals of Truth, and what we do next is we head to the basement of the castle in Sandoria. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of most of the things in this game. Bostaunieux Oubliette. Let's just go with that, and we'll go there to fight an NM, and that's required to proceed with the quest. So here we go. Alright, so from northern Sandoria, what we want to do is head into the chateau. And I believe this is the cutscene for the rank 5 1 mission. So, whoops. I plan on doing rank 5 1 mission and 5-2 mission in the next episode. So come back and check that out. Anyway, once in the chateau, head through this door and down this little hallway. This will wrap around and take us to the basement of the castle, and we find a bunch of monsters down here. So zoning in brings us to map 1 of the Oubliette, and come down, take a right, go down this hallway to the west. There'll be a little door, go down those stairs, and then speak with an NPC, and that'll dump us down onto map 2 of the Oubliette. We came in up there where the book is on the map at about I6. If you work your way down here to this F/G9 area, then what we find are a set of steps that will take us into the next basement, which is map number 3. Okay, now that we're on map number 3, we're headed to the upper northeast corner there, the I8 block. And I didn't mention it, but be careful when you're up there on map 2. There are a number of trap doors, and depending on what level you are while you're here, you may end up falling somewhere that you didn't intend to be, next to some mobs that are higher level than you thought they might be. So or it might just put you somewhere where you're lost. So if you have the map here, I think that's a good call. And just any squares that you see on the floor, I would avoid them. Either that or run over them quickly, because they will dump you down here in the next basement accidentally if you're not paying attention. So fun stuff. See, there's one right there in the ceiling. They're all over the place up there. I always like to clear out an area before I do a fight. See, there's the question mark that we want to touch. And just for reference, let's see. Yeah, see, these leeches will aggro a 75. So just be careful running around down here. You don't want to accidentally fall into a group of leeches and have a bad day. And of course, another good reason to clear the room is that you accrue some TP. That way you can open up on the mob with a weapon skill. Alright, so once you're ready for the fight, just click on the question mark. And there he is. Okay, now that he's been downed, you have to re-examine the question mark, and we've received the key item, Annals of Truth. Now we go back to Ogby, receive our reward, and that ends the quest. Awesome. You have learned the weapon skill Asuran Fists. So that's good stuff. And as I mentioned before, each weapon skill has its own properties. So to do the right type of skill chain, having more options is better than having fewer options. So it's always good to have as many weapon skills as you can have. Asuran Fists. Does pretty decent damage and looks really cool. It's an 8-hit attack, so always a fun one to have and unlock. Again, this is Stonewarden. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Glad you were here. Had a great time, great video. Looking forward to doing more of these with you. Have an awesome day. See ya.